Tonight, I'm asking a question that controls the whole room. How does a book give details, rules about food and the Sabbath, even death for Sabbath breaking, but never gives a clear, loud, direct command saying slavery is evil and must be stopped? If it doesn't stop it, how do you sell this God to melanated people as our God? Let's get into it. Yeah. You know what it is? It's the Honorable June's not a Bantu or a Jew, but an El Kebulan kidnap that's ready for the get back. And welcome back to the Redeem or Destroy podcast, where we deal with facts over beliefs and awakening the minds of the kidnapped worldwide. Applause for that. Tonight's topic is simple, guys. But before I do, I want to let you guys see that I got the Jesus attire on, right? Looking like I'm about to save the hood, yeah? But on a serious tip, tonight's topic is simple. It's going to control the room, like I said before, because nobody can dodge this without changing the subject. Here's the question. How come God of the Bible give detailed rules about food, detailed rules about fabrics you can wear, detailed rules about the Sabbath, even death as penalty for breaking the Sabbath? But the same book never gives a clear, direct ban on slavery and see it as evil. Huh? Not one loud line that says, do not enslave human beings. Slavery is wicked. Slavery should be forbidden. It doesn't do that. Instead, it regulates slavery. It managed slavery. It organized slavery. And it even called people property in the rules. This is not me saying this, guys. So I'm asking the room, I'm asking you guys, how do you tell melanated people that this book is ours? Hmm? How do you tell melanated people that this God loves them when the text can punish a man for gathering sticks on a Sabbath, but cannot clearly condemn the captive of human beings? Now, let's walk through the facts. We don't want no feelings. We don't want to hear no traditions. We don't want to hear no insertions. We don't even want to hear the reason. This is not for your interpretation. We're going to read it for what it says. Now, first, let's talk about the food laws. The Bible spent time listing what you can eat and what you cannot eat. Leviticus chapter 11. Deuteronomy chapter 14, clean and unclean food. There's a list, categories, details, right? And these things are not even debatable. It's in the text, context, reference. You can find this in the text, context, reference in Leviticus 6, in index Number 6. So the book has enough energy to tell you what meat is acceptable, enough energy to tell you what animals are unclean, enough energy to tell you what to avoid. Huh? Got all that, but nothing mentions the end, the evil of slavery, of, servitude. Second, let's talk about the Sabbath. The Bible does not play about the Sabbath at all. It's even in the commandments, guys. Exodus says breaking the Sabbath brings the death penalty. Numbers chapter 15 tells a story. A man was caught gathering sticks on the Sabbath. They did what? They held him. They asked what should happen. Then the command comes back, and the man is literally unalive. Yeah. So hold on, guys. Let's stop right there. This God that you're claiming is ours can't be confused, right? He can't be confused when he wants to rule, when he wants his rule to be enforced. This God that's in the Bible that you're saying is ours, he's not silent when it comes to punishment. This is not no debate, no discussion, no belief, no assumptions. This is what's literally in the story right now as we speak, right? So this God is not silent when it comes to punishment. He can also give penalties. He can give judgment, and he can make it crystal clear. Now, here comes the part people hate. He made all of that crystal clear, but he never said anything evil about slavery. What does the Bible do with slavery? Does it ban it? Does it condemn it as evil? Does it says never do this, and if you did it, never do it again? No. You know what it does? It regulates it. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 25. It says what? You can buy a male and a female slave from their nation. It says that you can become somebody's property. It says you can pass them down to your children. It says, listen, it says what? It says that they can be a slave forever. Damn, and let me tell you how grimy this is that you guys are unaware of. You know, me just going down this rabbit hole and you start putting the pieces together. Let me show you how grimy this thing is. You know, if you're a slave and you meet a slave woman and you have a child together, that 7 years of servitude goes out the window. Your child becomes that man's property. Yeah. So when I says it says that you can be a slave for life. This is not my opinion. What I'm telling you guys is not something coming from me. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You got to just read it nice and slow. That it says buy, property, beget, slaves for life. So if somebody tells you that the Bible is anti-slavery and that God loves everybody, does he really? Because it seems like the only people that gets the short end of the stick, that has always gotten the short end of the stick, has been melanated people. I don't want to hear about a future prophecy that's going to come and it's going to restore order. You don't even know if your ancestors was even in that position because the story comes from them. Your first question should be this: why does it instruct on how to do it? Why? Let me speak to the people for a minute. Hold on. Let me sip this tea. Why would God, who you guys consider to be your father, right? This is my father, my Abba, right? Why would the God who sees you as his child speak to you in a way of a master to a slave? Does a father speak to his child like that? Have anybody that's a mother or a father, if you're watching this live, I want you to answer that question. Have you spoken to your child like they are your obedient slave? Or you speak to them like a mother or a father would speak to a child? Have any mother or father told their child, you shall worship me? You should bow down to me. You are a servant unto me. Has any mother or father spoken to their child like that? I wait for it. So you telling me our so-called creator, the man that created us, that supposedly love us, anything that's pertaining to us is in a state of servitude. Even in the book of Jeremiah, Jeremiah said, are we born to be a homegrown slave? This is a prophet, a prophetess, or whatever you want to call these people that's saying that. He's asking, was we created to be a home born slave? So I ask you guys that question. Was we created just to be in servitude? Let me ask you guys a question. Let me just ask you guys a question. According to what the book says, it tells us that when the kingdom comes and those that's been selected, those that's been, the elect leading to the elect, your only job and only rule will only be giving praise and honor to deities forever. Praise and worship. So that means you will never get an opportunity to sit down. You will never get an opportunity just to be fun. You just to chill. You will never get the opportunity to be with your wife. And I don't want to hear none of that because it's not written. And if this is the Alpha and the Omega, maybe he should have been more, give a little bit more information when it's pertaining to this kingdom that he got everybody waiting on. Everybody is waiting for this kingdom. But this kingdom doesn't give deep, in-depth information as far as what will we be doing other than giving praise and glory unto you from sundown to sun up. Huh? Nobody asks those questions. Nobody doesn't look at the word and say, hold on, Father, why are you talking to me like this? Why haven't you spoken to Jesus like that? How come Jesus is not being spoken to, but you sent him to be the sacrificial lamb for the sins of the world? For him to just die and for sin to still be on this earth. For evil to still be on this earth. For wickedness to still be on this earth, running rapid all through the entire world. Look what's going on in Venezuela, guys. Oh, my bad. That was an act of God, right? That was God, right? Did you know that the Venezuela president the night before stood before a priest? The priest put his hands on his head and said, Jesus will guide you and protect you. And that I had a dream that if anybody came, it will be atrocities. And less than 48 hours later, that man was captured. I did a whole live. If you guys are not following me on YouTube, please follow me on YouTube. Please follow me. I mean, excuse me, not YouTube. Follow me on IG. I did a whole post asking a question. How come when we need Jesus, Lord, Yahweh, Yahushua, Allah the most, that's when he doesn't show up? And when we need him the least, we give all praise and glory unto him and say this because of him is the reason why I'm here. Nobody ever asked those questions? That when you really need him, when a mother is in the hospital and the doctors is telling the husband and the wife that their child got 24 hours to live, just think. And these mother, this mother and this father are diehard participants when it comes to religion, when it comes to their faith, when it comes to their belief into this God. They get the short end of the stick. They take a nap, close their eyes, open their eyes, and now their child is no longer here. But when it comes to stuff like taking a test and you pass the test, you instantly say it was glory. God was always with me. He gave me the strength to pass this test. The minute things, knowing that it was you that was up for 2 weeks in a row studying by yourself that made you pass. But that's another topic in itself. But when you need him the most, like literally need him the most, it seems like he's never there. Now let's go to Exodus chapter 21. It gives laws about beating enslaved people. It says a slave owner beats a slave and the slave dies right away, there must be punishment. But if the enslaved person survives a day or two, the owner is not to be punished. This is in the book. In the book of listen, in the book of Joshua, people, it justifies the captures of little children, doing whatever you want with these little children. This is God giving this command. This is not Joshua giving this command. This is God giving this command. And let me give you guys a news flash. And this is mainly for the melanated people. This is the news flash. You know the Canaanites was people of color, right? You know the Canaanites, the land that they took over, the land that was supposedly given unto Abraham, was run and owned by the Canaanites. Remember when Ham and them splitted the land? Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Remember Ham had children? You remember? Canaan being one of them? Remember you was told Ham was the black racist and that Ham was cursed from the beginning? And that's why his skin is that color. Remember that? Remember, Ham is the father of the Egyptians? Do you remember that? Do you remember that Moses was unaliving? He unalived an Egyptian and fled the sea, and there was no penalties behind that. You guys are aware of this, right? You also aware that when Moses went up to the Pharaoh, told the Pharaoh, "Let my people go." You know that you know that the Passover is an acknowledgement to the genocide upon black people. So every time you put the blood over your door, you're letting the world know that you're siding with those that genocide your very DNA. Could say whatever you want. You know that this is to be the facts. You guys are aware of every time that Moses spoke to God and he approached the Pharaoh, it was God that was hearkening his heart. It wasn't like the Pharaoh was just doing it on his own. Someone was playing in his mind, like, nope, I want you to reject it. And the Pharaoh rejected it. And when Passover came, it was a genocide upon Egyptians. I know you heard me say this, but I just want you to understand where I'm going with this. You know, After all these firstborns was unalive, you know when the Pharaoh decided to say, okay, I give in? After he found his son unalive. When all God had to do was unalive his son and spare all the Egyptians that didn't know that Moses was having a conversation with God and God was giving Moses instructions to confront the Pharaoh. You don't find that kind of crazy? And after the destruction of black people in Egypt, oh, the God did not stop there, guys. He did not stop there. He said, we're going to take Canaan now. Just pay attention to the behaviors and the mannerisms. Does that sound like something that we would do? Like all jokes aside, does that sound like something that we would do? Does that sound like something that is connected to our DNA? Because if that was so, there would be no black people in servitude. There will be no people of color, no melanated people in servitude. Ask yourself that question. You're telling me that this God is our God? This is our Father? And he's mad at us for disobedience? When the entire world is being disobedient and now one judgment, plague, wrath, destruction, empires falling have occurred. But the minute the Africans say voodoo, judgment, you don't find that kind of suspicious, guys? You don't find that kind of, that don't make sense. Huh? Why us? Why us? Because the slave is the owner's property. That's why it's you. Because you are property. Even when you try to change your name into a Hebrew name, you're changing it into a language that nobody in your ancestors ever knew about, ever spoke. So here you go. Now you are freely converting yourself to their control. Freely. At least back in the days, they had to beat it on you. What is your name? My name is Kunta. Pop, pop, pop. Your name is Toby. Pop, pop. My name is Kunta. Now, now, you got black people, you got melanated people just openly, free 99, converting, giving up their whole DNA to uphold some nonsense that they can't prove. You can't prove it. I don't want to hear none of that. And just a FYI, guys, just a FYI, I'm gonna make 2 more videos about this Biblo stuff, and I'm leaving it alone. I'm never coming back into this space ever again, ever. I'm gonna give you guys 2 more videos, and that's it. We're gonna start talking about the things that's affecting us, like the division between the man and woman, the gap, the lack of accountability, the lack of honesty. This is what we're focusing on this podcast. Interviewing, speaking to, melanated entrepreneurs. Not that quick, Instagram scam. No, this is the entrepreneurs, the people that did something and is willing to show like this can be done if you put your mind to it. If you stop giving your energy to things you have no control over. You have no control over this religion. When you close, I want every single one of you guys that's on this live to close your eyes. Close your eyes with me and repeat after me. I am a Christian. When you say that and you visualize the image of a Christian, what image is that? Is it somebody of color or is it a European? Exactly. When you say Judaism, what's the first thing that comes into your mind? You think of a European. When you think of Islam, you think of European. Persian mythology is what Islam originates from. Allah is what is the original term before Allah. It was called Allah. Persian mythology. Every given Sunday was a new god. Facts. This cup in my hand was their god at a moment. Make it make sense. So again, we got a book that can give death for Sabbath sticks, but it can also create a loophole for beating a human being, and it ties it to property. So I thought we was God's children. Why he's allowing us to be property? They be like, yo, he did that to make us jealous. This is beyond jealous. If you was trying to make a point, I don't think you needed 400 years. I don't think you needed to take somebody from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth for you to prove a point. I don't think you needed to do that. I don't think we that much of a stiff neck that you have to do all that to prove a point. But then again, guys, look what he did to the Egyptians. And the Egyptians are people of color. And the Canaanites are people of color. They are people of color. Yeah. So you're gonna get mad. And I already know the defense script. Somebody always gonna say this. That was the indentured servitude, indigenous servitude. Some of these people asked to be served. I don't want to hear none of that. That was the difference. That was humane. Yo, bro, I kid you not. There are people right now, even people of color, that will justify our enslavement and say things like, "Yeah, bro, you was supposed to go to, it's either that or hell, bro." And I'd rather be alive and in servitude than be unalive and burning in hell for eternity for something that my ancestors did. You know how I know? Because I used to do this, bro. I used to literally walk around acting like I was Mr. Untouchable when it came to these scripts. Think about that. I know a lot of you guys is listening, and what I'm saying is piercing a nerve. I know. I know what I'm saying is creating some level of anger. Those that sticking around, you agree, you're in total agreement in what I'm saying. You can't find me a single verse in the New Testament that tells you servitude is wrong. Being a slave is evil. You can't even find that. But you can find in the New Testament that, you heard Moses said, an eye for an eye, but I'm telling you to turn the other cheek. You still don't find that. You still don't see that this story is plagiarized. You still don't see that this story was created by man. And guess what, guys? Guess what? I got the demonology book by King James. I got it. It's in the living room. I got it. And that man lived to be 50 something years old. And he wasn't murdered. He died from a sickness. Yeah. All this nonsense that we have been told over the years has been complete lies, guys. He reigned supreme. Uh, 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 he died way after 1611. 1592 or 97, 1597. That man, him and his wife, Queen Elizabeth, gave thousands of dollars. And we talking gold, coins, things that's worth value back then. Funded this guy named Hawkins. I forgot his first name. If you guys know what I'm saying, put it in the chat. Funded this man's Hawkins expedition of coming to Africa to enslave the people. And the very first name of that ship was called the Ship of Jesus. Jesus of Lebec, to be exact. So now you telling me King James is a man of color? Oh, he wanted to save the people. And because of his good deed and investing money into this voyage, because of that, they gave him his own town on the east coast of America. East coast of America, east coast of the Caribbean island, east coast of South America. Everywhere you go, you'll find Jamestown. You can look it up right now. If you're thinking that I'm lying and I'm talking cap, look it up right now. Look it up right now. All in honor of King James. The so-called black man. These niggas is getting their information strictly off the internet. They're not speaking to nobody. They're not going in. They don't even know the websites to go on to get the exact, college information. They're not reading books that gonna contradict and go against their Bible. They're not gonna do that. And that's where they are for that. Okay? That's where they are for that. Okay? And if you claim that everything that I'm saying is absurd, the point is still the point, guys. Where is the direct moral line? There was no moral lines when it comes to the enslavement of people. There's no moral lines. But there's rules and regulations on what to eat, how to dress, who to deal with. But there's nothing that said, "Oh, I repented for what I've done. I'm so offended that I created slavery and that it should be abolished." America is under the canon law, the Mosaic law, which means that America follows the guidelines of the Biblos. And one of the number one things that these slave owners was pitching to the slaves was what? That God ordered me to enslave you. And if you got stuff like this that's already written in law of, ownership. Oh, he got my last name. That's my property. What's your last name, sir? Who is you related to, sir? Exactly. Your last name is connected to your tax, your income tax, all that. These niggas got to get their PC off your existence every day. This is what you call old money. Never gets old. Never gets old. And they'll buy you anything that you want. Yeah. I know. I know. So again, there's no moral lines. There's no loud command. There's do not own a human being. Owning a human being is evil. I'm dreadful for what I've done. I've repented. No. In fact, even when you die, it tells you you're gonna be in a level of servitude. And guess what? It also gets even deeper because slavery didn't stop in the New Testament. In multiple passages, slaves are told to do what? Obey their master. This is not a rumor. This is printed. Yes, Ephesians, Colossians, First Peter. These are the books that tells you slaves obey your master. That language is there for a reason. Okay? So the book does not come out swinging against slavery. No, no, it doesn't go against slavery. It tells enslaved people how to behave under it. Thou shalt not keep my commandments, and then all these curses shall fall upon you. But if you should keep my commandments and do all my statutes, and that you shall honor this day, and you shall be the head and not the tail. How long we been the tail? How long we been crying? How long we been begging? How long we been praying? What heck has answered? Tell me what the heck has answered? Who has answered? Has any one of you guys sat down one on one? How Abraham sat with the Lord. I'm about to say with Jesus. How Abraham sat down with God, tabernacled, whatever, came down, spoke to you directly, and told you what your future is gonna be like. And don't tell me, oh yeah, we wasn't this, we wasn't that. Abraham was running around here lying. He told the Pharaoh that's not his wife. It was God. Look how God intervened for that. As quick as he intervened for that, 400 years, there's not a one intervening happening. 400 years later, these people are going to other countries and removing presidents with their eyes closed. Taking over the entire economy, livelihood, and say, yeah, we owning this now. But yet, we put all our trust and glory into this man. Everybody's gonna say, yo, my brother, these things has to happen, my brother. It has to happen in order for us to be kingdom ready. How do you become kingdom ready? You don't even know if you even walking in the right kingdom. What happens if this kingdom is for somebody else? Because that's the way it looks like. We are all praying to the same God. We all believe in the same thing. Whether you are Hebrew, whether you are Christian, whether you are a Judaism, Catholic, Judaism, no matter what it is, you are all praying and believing from the same book and the same God. But it seems like melanated people are the only ones getting the short end of the stick. Where the book told you that Jesus was with the killers, with the sinners, with the have-nots. He didn't chill with those that already had the world. He freed a prisoner, and he freed him because he believed. How many of us is believing have yet to be freed for anything? How many of our brothers and sisters are sitting in the cave right now? How many mothers is raising children by themselves right now? How many mothers and fathers go to church every Sunday asking for a sign, asking for a conversation, and they don't get it? Huh? Huh? I know. I really want you guys to process what I'm saying. I know it seems far-fetched, and I know it may trickle some feathers. I know a lot of you guys may get upset. I know. But listen, you gotta call a spade a spade. We gotta start holding everything and everyone accountable, even the God that we worship. The only people that's gonna tell you don't do that are the ones that's benefiting from the story. But the ones that's suffering, The ones that's in the hospital right now. There's a mother and a father in a hospital right now in America getting ready to make the most dreadful decision of pulling the plug on their child because the cancer has overtaken their body. Or the sickle cell has overtaken their body. There's somebody right now making this decision. And I guarantee you, these same people are the ones that go to church on Sunday, are the ones that believed in Jesus, are the ones that supported everything. When that child makes that transition, they're gonna have a Jesus-like theme. It's gonna be in a cathedral with the cross you're gonna the cross, the Bible, all of this might even be on the goddamn casket. Huh? So let's talk about what does this. I'm saying all of this for melanated people worldwide. What does this mean? Okay, because the real life history is not a secret. In the Americas, slaveholders used the Bible to defend slavery. Church leaders quote these passages. Hebrew Israelites quote these passages. My brother, give me Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 16. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 16 says, if you don't hearken unto me, then all these curses shall be put upon you. Oh, so now we cursed again. Here we go again. Hand curse. The Egyptians curse. The Canaanites curse. Now you guys is cursed. If you want to be technical, was it you, the Israelites? You went in there 70. You went in there 70 heads and came out a multitude. So by default, that means you were Egyptian too. So guess what? Curse upon you too, right? Huh? Am I saying something that's not sitting well? I see a lot of you guys is being very upset right now. I see a lot of you guys being extra emotional right now. I see you guys tune in and be like, you know what? Nah, I'm not listening to this. What happened? Am I saying something that's piercing the button? Am I saying something that you know you cannot rebuttal or dispute? You can't argue with me. You can say, yo, my brother, yeah, we was enslaved because of disobedience. That's why we was enslaved. But the book doesn't tell you anything that slavery is wrong. And I also want to know is if we was gonna be thrown in slavery for disobedience, and it was already written, and this was in the Old Testament. So why did Jesus have to come in the first place? Here comes these questions that I'm sure nobody's gonna be mad enough to answer. If this was the penalties for being disobedient, then why did God allow Jesus to come in the first place? Or Yahshua or the Mayashiach and the Hakakikak. Huh? Huh? I listen, I leave these questions for you to when you wake up in the AM tomorrow and you're driving to work or you taking the bus or you just walking or jogging. I want you to ask yourself that question because it's just not adding up. Huh? The school and the churches all work with each other, documenting these legacies themselves. They don't talk about this anti-Christian talk. Listen, these people talk about why things happen. Why? When is God gonna come and say, why are you enslaving my children? Oh, did he just say that? Why are you enslaving my children? Why are you feeling entitled to lynch my children? I mean, how much atrocities must occur before God intervenes? How much? How much lynching? How much abortions? How much incarceration? How much unaliving? How much must happen before you intervene? Huh? And these children that's dying come from a Christian background. These women that's doing abortions come from a Christian background. And yeah, we got nothing to show for it. We got nothing to show for it other than some and foolery. Miss me with this nonsense, guys. Okay? Miss me with the nonsense. Christianity was used to enslave, put your soul in chains, remove your soul from your body, and introduce you to a spirit. Huh? That's what Christianity, all this Abrahamic religion has done. It has chained, has bound down your soul. Your soul is bound to the ground, and they replaced it with a spirit. And they told you that this spirit is the holiest of all spirit, the separate. Follow it, believe in it, and you shall receive prosperity, longevity. Everything that you wanted shall be in your disposal. How many of us is doing all of this and have yet to receive anything? So, yes, Christianity was used to lock down your soul and uplift the spirit. And they're using the same book, the same verses, and the same mother effing system. Okay? Now I'm going to be fair for a second, just quick fact. Because some Christians will bring up other verses. They'll say things like, kidnapping is condemned. Wow. Kidnapping is condemned. So when the slaves was taken from their homes and sent to America, isn't that kidnap? Isn't that kidnap? Excuse me. Isn't that kidnap? And yet not a single penalty has occurred to any one of these people that's been doing the kidnaps. They reference man stealing laws. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not covetous. Thou shalt not do all of these commands. Oh man. These people are going to point to verses about not returning, runaway slaves, and yes, those exist in the text. For example, Deuteronomy says, "Do not return." Listen to what Deuteronomy says. Deuteronomy says, "Do not return do not return a escaped slave to his master. Let him live where he chooses. Do not mistreat him." So I'm going to sit here and pretend the Bible has zero limits. It has limits. But here's the comeback that ends all the debate. Limits are not about abolishment. Rules are not condemnation. Regulations is not that it's evil. It still treats slavery as an acceptable institution. Okay, it still allow owning foreigners for life in Leviticus 25. You remember, guys, you are the foreigners. You was taken far, far away and brought here against your will. Leviticus 25 is strictly about you, slave. And this is not small details. The whole case, everything that I'm saying, you guys know this to be factual. So here's the main question again. How do you tell melanated people this God is our God? How do you tell melanated people this God actually love us? When the book can be strict about diets, strict about the Sabbath, strict enough to kill somebody over sticks, but not strict enough to ban owning human beings. And what you need to notice when it comes to food, God speaks like a lawmaker who wants compliance. When it comes to Sabbath, God speaks like a judge who wants punishment. But when it comes to slavery, God speaks like a manager of the system. God speaks like you was disobedient, and because of that, you cannot do anything. And you telling me that this is ours? You can prove that God is ours by showing me DNA samples. You can prove that this book is what it is, what it says it is. If you can provide some legal, some artificial artifact, artifact images, portraits, figures, DNA, some sample that can be taken from the characters of the book, and it ties back to you. I'll wait for it. So let me say this clearly. I'm not here to tell none of you guys what to believe. I'm telling you what the context, what the text and the context of the text is saying. If your faith can live with that, that's fine. But don't gaslight melanated people. Don't tell them the book is a love better or a love letter or anything that's pertaining to us, because we all know that this book was literally put together to justify your enslavement. Okay? When the book gives instructions that help empires build cages. Now, chat, I want to open the floor to you guys. I want you to drop your best verse. If you believe the Bible bans slavery, please post the verse. Post it. I'll wait for it. Oh, nothing to be said. That means you guys are in complete agreement with what I'm saying. That means you guys is in complete agreement into what I am saying. Because I'm asking the questions that you guys are too afraid to ask. I'm questioning the God you guys are too afraid to step to, because you believe a story that was given unto you by those that enslaved you. Claim back your identity. Claim, claim back your soul. When you say your soul is not for sale, that's everything and anyone that's going to take you away from moral principles, dignity, rules, and regulations. Universal law. And with that being said, God, I see there's no more comments. It's fine with me. I'm about to go lay my ass down and go to sleep. It's your brother, man. Continue liking, comment, share, subscribe, join the movement. I'm feeling a little down. Was in a shelter today, and you know what comes along with that. But again, I want you guys to continue supporting, like this video, hype this video, share this video, do the necessary things to keep this video, keep this channel rising. Because for once, you guys are receiving somebody who's keeping his foot on the necks of everything that's keeping us in a state of being rejected. It's over for that. We got children we got running on this earth right now. What are we leaving them behind? Because it's clearly evident, it's clearly to be seen, pure evidence that these niggas is buying up everything from us. So if they buy and they own everything, what are we leaving for our children? A hope? and a belief into a system that can't be proven. But it's your brother, man. You understand? And I'ma holler at y'all.